Hello, my name is Harper, and I am a trans man. I am also a very short man, and that means that clothing is hard. And whenever I would look up things like clothing tips for short guys, or fashion tips for short guys, the short guys they'd be referring to were like people that were 5'8", 5'9", when that is literally the average height for a Canadian male. There were a couple in there for like 5'6" guys, and yeah, you're shorter than average, but you're still not that short. Shopping when you're 153 centimeters is rather difficult, and especially when you're actually like adult-sized in certain places, but are like smaller kid-sized in other places, and it's just weird. Add on to the fact that I am a trans guy. But anyway, I've been doing some experimentation since top surgery on like clothes and fashion and stuff, and these are some of the things that I've discovered in my fashion journey of like 4 months. So yeah, here are some tips that may or may not be helpful for you. So this first tip is tried and true advice spouted by many a transsexual, is that don't be afraid of the kids section. I know that I personally have really weird feelings about going into the kids section, especially like kids-specific stores. So I avoid the kids-specific stores because they still kind of weird me out, but going to the kids section doesn't make me feel as crappy as it did before. I go to the kids section for shoes and t-shirts, and then I go to youth sections, which is like usually aged like 10 to 16, for button-ups and pants. I'll occasionally find like a 20-inch waist like pair of pants that kind of fit me in like the men's section, but usually it's in the kids or the youth section. The stores that usually have my size and clothing is West 49, which I'm not sure if it's a Canadian brand, and then Winners is a great one, and really just like any big thrift store like the Sally Ann or Value Village is really good, and also the Gap can have some pretty good sizes as well. Basically, all my button-ups have come from either West 49 or the thrift store, and pretty much all my pants have come from West 49. Speaking of pants, the second tip I am here to bestow upon you is to try and find pants that fit around the largest part of you well, and then worry about the rest later. What I mean is, for example, if your legs, like me, are the largest part of you, like around, then try and get jeans or pants that feel comfortable around that part first, and then worry about things like length, waist, stuff like that. Because in my experience, when I get pants that fit really nicely waist-wise or length-wise, but don't fit around like my legs and my butt very nicely, there's like a 2% chance that I will wear them. Belts are a thing if the waist is too big. You can always hem your pants if they're too long, and you can always take them in at the sides if they are too wide. But it is much harder to make something bigger than it is to make it smaller. Shorts are great for me for this particular reason, because shorts tend to not grab you around the thigh, and so I can just find shorts that are, you know, of my waist size, and then I don't have to worry about them. So these are the kinds of pants that I wore pre-transition, and even during my transition, but until I realized they really didn't look good, and I, you know, realized how uncomfortable I was with them. Obviously, if you don't mind your legs looking like this, or, you know, your legs don't fit like this, that's fine. But just for me personally, I really don't like how my legs and my hips and stuff like that look in these jeans. I feel like it makes me look super feminine, and I really don't like it. These aren't even the worst of them, but just how they cling to my legs, and especially around my thighs, it's kind of uncomfortable. Tip number 3 is that big shirts actually make you look smaller. I was super guilty of this pre-transition. I would constantly wear shirts that were way too big for me, and even though at the time I didn't actually think they were too big for me, and obviously I had other priorities in terms of like dysphoria and such, but now that I have had top surgery, I am wearing my old shirts and they're just like really too big, and it just makes me look smaller and more like a kid than I already look. If you didn't know, I'm actually a 21-year-old man. Go figure. If you're just looking for cheap shirts that you can just like get to have that fit you really nicely in a really big range of sizes, is going to Michael's, which is a big craft store here in Canada. I'm not sure if it's actually in the US or not, but they have these like Gildan shirts in several different colors in a variety of different sizes, from adults to youth. They're like $2–4 each. You can get a bunch of them, you can screen print them, you can do whatever you want with them. You can get the size that properly fits you, because they generally have a really big range of sizes. For reference, I am wearing a youth medium size. I even tried the youth large size, and it was too big for me. What I personally like to look for in a shirt that fits me is the shoulders, first and foremost. The shoulders should not be halfway down your arm, and the sleeves should not be touching your elbow. They should be, you know, sitting right kind of at the tip of your shoulder. But yeah, where it just like starts to slope down, that's where the shoulder seam should be. This fourth tip is related to the last topic, which is cuff your shirt sleeves. This is a tip that I have been implementing pretty much all the time with my shirts that are too big, especially because the ones that are too big, the sleeves are all the way down here. And cuffing them raises the sleeve to a more appropriate height on your arm, and even if the shoulders are way down here, it still makes the shirt look a lot more proportional and, you know, well-fitting on your body. Along the same line, fifth tip is to learn how to tuck in your shirts. There is a myriad of ways that you can tuck your shirt in, and there's lots and lots of articles on that, so I'll just direct you towards those. But again, learning how to tuck in your shirt properly is really helpful for shirts that are too long for you. As a 5 foot, 153 centimeter guy, shirts are often too long for me, and so I'll just tuck them into my pants in different ways, just so they don't, you know, the length of it doesn't go past my crotch and make me look really small. We're kind of in an age where 90s fashion and alternative fashion is kind of in right now, so you won't even look that out of place if you're tucking in your shirt in like kind of old-fashioned ways or like different looking ways, because like everyone's just doing their own thing. Tank tops are really nice. You don't have to think about all of these kinds of things, like whether, you know, the shoulder is on your shoulder or if the sleeves are too long or whatever, because tank tops are just tank tops. You just have to worry about the length and the width. Sixth tip is about button-up shirts. The number one problem that I have with button-up shirts is when they balloon out of me because they're too wide, and so it just kind of like flaps in the wind and it just like doesn't look great. Especially when I'm trying to tuck in the shirt because it's too long, and then when you turn around and you've got that big flap balloon in the back and it just isn't flattering on your body and it just doesn't look great or professional or clean or whatever. I particularly have an issue with trying to find button-ups that properly fit me because I have pretty wide shoulders for someone of, I don't know, my height or my width or something like that. And so even if I get something that fits me, you know, width-wise or length-wise, it's often too small for my shoulders. And then if I try to get something that fits my shoulders, it's often too wide or too long. And so in circumstances like this, I kind of have to choose what's more important to me. Obviously, I'm not going to buy a shirt that's like way too small for my shoulders. But if there's just a little bit of like cramping in there, but the rest of it looks great, then I will buy that button up. Another tip for trans guys is don't button up that last button. Don't do it. Don't do it. And my last tip is simply, don't be afraid to experiment. Try different styles, try different colors, try different fits. I myself am constantly experimenting with my old clothes, especially after top surgery, and I definitely think I am looking better for it. Anyways, I think I've rambled on long enough. I hope that you got something out of this video. Maybe not. Definitely feel free to give me clothing tips down in the comments, and we can just have a nice little share session. Enter in calls to action here, and I will see you later. Peace.